Hey friend, this is episode number 562 of the And So podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents And So with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
And so,
Well, hello, friend. Welcome to episode 562. I am your host, Taylor Bradford. This one is in collaboration with ManyChat. It is the software that I am using to automate things over on my Instagram, which is rocking it right now, which is so cool. And yeah, I have 3 different types of automations turned on with ManyChat. I am saying hello to my new followers, which is striking up a conversation. I am auto DMing from a comment that is left on one of my reels, and I have the story reply feature turned on. So those are the 3 automations I have actively going through ManyChat, and it just makes my life so much easier to do things when I cannot be there. And yeah, you should check it out. You can try it for free for 2 weeks, the pro version. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/ManyChat. That is MANYCHAT. Check it out. Try it out for 2 weeks for free. Literally a lifesaver. You can use it on Facebook, and you can also use it over on TikTok with a business account. So not just Instagram, you can use it elsewhere. And you should totally try it. Yep. Okay. Let's get into what has been going on in my world. We had a crazy cold front hit us, like slam us hard with wind, and then the poor east half of our state just got obliterated with storms, which I think traveled all the way up to the Great Lakes, like literally is slammed into the east. Crazy. Tornadoes, hail, high winds, snow. Like some people I'm seeing got snow, like blizzard kind of snow. Crazy, this weather that we're having. Crazy. We just got high winds, which is no fun when you're out on your property trying to do things that require you to not be shielded from the wind. And we have a lot of sand. We have clay, unfortunately, where my garden is, but the rest of my property is primarily sandy loam, which means I have sand pits everywhere. And sand, like driven at you at 70 miles an hour, is not exactly a pleasant experience. So, yeah, that happened on Sunday, and it's cold. And now we're on a heat wave. We're trending up to 90 by this weekend. It's crazy. Like what is life? So in the garden, I started to pull out last year's support system and started moving all the metal out of the garden because I'll be tilling soon. So I can start gearing up for the 2026 spring garden, which is so crazy. We're getting there. And let's see, I added more dirt to my brand new trees that I put in the ground. So we did 3 peach trees, 2 plum trees, and 2 apple trees. Plus I have the 5 pomegranate. And what is crazy to me, because I don't know how old the trees are. I'm guessing at least a year old, maybe year 2. I don't know. And I need to ask. And I didn't, but I should have, but I will. One of my peach trees already has 6 peaches on it. Like, not like it didn't have them when I bought it, but they have them now. And it's crazy. So I am shocked because usually peach trees take year 2 is when they can start fruiting, but most of the time it's year 3. So we'll see. At least one of my trees is getting a jump start. I know they're all at least a year old. They may be 2. and we're getting some early fruit. But I need to find out how old they actually are. All right, for my house, we had to add some extra red iron to support our zip system that was just not installed very well and started bowing. And you cannot put sheet metal on top of that without it looking really bad. So we've been shoring up all of the zip system wall. We had our builder come back in and add some more red iron, and it's looking so freaking good. So they are nearly finished with the back of the house, and then we moved to the front of the house and I believe the porch roof, but it is looking so good. Like, I'm just giddy about how good it is. We got our 3 shop man doors installed. They look great. Handles are on. And yeah, that's where we are with my house build. I read 2 books last week. The Summer Guests, which was Martini Club #2. Author is Tess Gerritsen. I give that one 5 stars. Fantastic read. And then in my audiobooks membership, I picked up The Spy, which is Jed Walker #1 by James Phelan. And that was 5 stars as well. And thankfully, I actually thought that one was a brand new read, but thankfully that was written in like 2018, 2019, and he has since put out 2 more books. So yay to James Phelan, because I really enjoyed that story. All right, let's talk about my course. Oh my gosh, I have sold 8 so far. 7 of the 8 took the order bump. So everyone since the very first purchaser took the order bump. I've had 1,974 page views to my checkout page, which is crazy pants. So yeah, I've sold 8 of my course so far. Now let's get into search bar confessions for the week. I Googled Victory Garden. I keep seeing this pop up in my Instagram, and I wanted to really understand the reasoning behind Victory Gardens. Like, why in World War I and World War II did Victory Gardens become a thing? And the history is fascinating, and I kind of see that direction happening now without a world war. So, just fascinating. And my whole mission is to show you as a human how easy it is to grow your own food, regardless of your space and the size of your space. And so finding out and learning more about Victory Gardens was actually very meaningful. I also Googled a Supreme Court ruling against Thaler, and it actually has to do with AI, and it wasn't a ruling per se, just the Supreme Court deciding 9-0 that they were not going to hear this AI case. So this Thaler person really wanted to have the Supreme Court rule on the fact that his works created with AI should be copyrighted. And the Supreme Court said, no, sir, that is not the case. We are holding ground with the lower court ruling saying we agree with them. You cannot copyright AI. Copyrighted works have to be human created 100%. So that is a win for us creatives who work really, really hard to create things on our own using our brains. So I just wanted to know more about that because one of my customers came in really hot the other day and he was like, you need to check out this court case. And yeah, so I did. I went down the rabbit hole. And then I was talking to one of my friends and she was showing me some art she just purchased from this artist who actually happens to be a local Dallasite. And I was like, whoa, that art actually has, and I don't even know what to use, the words to describe, but I was like, it has the vibes of whatever the spoof was to Cabbage Patch Kids. And so I had to Google because I couldn't remember what they were called back in the, I guess it was late 80s, early 90s. I was like, what was the Cabbage Patch doll spoof? And if you want to know, because I did, because I Googled it, right? Garbage Pail Kids. And if you don't know what that is, go look it up. Well, go look up Cabbage Patch Kid if you haven't got a clue what that is. Like if you don't know and you didn't grow up with them, go Google that and then Google Garbage Pail Kids. They were trading cards and we loved them as kids. We just thought it was the coolest thing. Total spoof on Cabbage Patch, but whatever. Okay, so that wraps up this week's Search Bar Confessions. Let's get into this week's business nugget, which is going to be about the stats I'm tracking on Instagram. But first, I want to talk about another strategy that I'm employing on Instagram. Okay, so with my current Instagram total strategy, I am posting one story a day, and it's a selling story. Now, I'm doing that and waiting for yesterday's story to fall off before I post the new story. And like there's a reason behind that, because you want Instagram to reset and then people see a brand new story bubble. They don't see a continuation. And so if you train them that you're only giving one a day, like the metrics that I see when I post multiple stories is very little. It is tiny, tiny views compared to my account. And when I allow this one story to fall off and then post the new story, I have a much larger view. And it's like, hey, here's my brand new thing. Go check it out. And that's kind of the signal that is coming from Instagram to people following me. And even I got a few people that followed me from stories weren't following me. And that's a wild thing because I didn't realize you could randomly see other people's stories. But I guess I can see where they do that. If they see my content through an ad or see it in the Explore feed, then you can see my story bubble is lit up. You can go watch that and then you can follow me. Anyways, that's how that works. So I am employing a new strategy because I'm only doing one story a day. And for me, it is very important to make a connection to people. That is part of one of my core values for every one of my companies. And before I talk about that, because I forgot to say I hit 7,500 followers on my Instagram 2 days ago, or yesterday, 2 days, anyways, recently. And I crested to the 1 million views club in a 30-day period. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. So I hit 7,500 followers on Instagram. It is like a 55% coming from ads, 45% coming from my own content. That's about the breakdown right now. And that is so amazing. 7,500 new friends, actually not new friends. So I started at 36 and some change and then deleted 1,748, which left me 1,800 and something. And then 44 days later, I'm at 7,500. So there's your quick, how did I do that? And what drove that was starting the Meta ad strategy to get new Instagram followers by just showing my content through a Meta ad and encouraging them to follow me, which gets them over to my profile. And then they still have to make the decision to hit the follow button, right? I'm not buying followers. And so that happened, but I was targeting through Meta ads. I was targeting my existing followers at the time, and I netted 3 new follows in 5 days and spent money. And that was not the goal. I mean, the goal is to spend money because Meta ads, but I wanted more than 3 followers in 5 days. So it got me thinking, wow, okay, I think it's my followers. I need to go through, and I did this once before, and I've talked about this in the past, but I wanted to delete because these people followed me a long time ago, and they're probably not interested in my content anymore. So that's what triggered me to start deleting, and I did. And it took me several hours because you have to do it one by one. And I could have kept going, but I think 4 hours in was okay, I'm done. I'm done doing this one by one. And the little X is really tiny, so that's not helpful. So that's the pendulum swing right? So that is the thing that pushed me the other direction. And then really focusing in on what content was missing in my landscape and seeing if I could make that work. And it worked. It's still working. And that's exciting. And I am still doing a 7 a.m. post that I scheduled through the Instagram platform. And then I do 2 trial reels to Instagram every day. So it's 3 pieces of content plus the 1 story, which is a selling story. That is current strategy. But again, I feel like there was a missing link. So a long time ago when I rebranded the House of Sugar Creek into being more about vintage shopping and gardening and books, trying to be that lifestyle account again, I created a channel on my Instagram and was kind of sharing some behind the scenes of all the things that I was doing, which was garden related and book related and podcast related. And I just wanted to be able to give life updates. And so I went back to that channel that was just sitting there dusty because I haven't used it in over a year, actually, longer than over a year. And I went in and I deleted everything that was on there previously to start over. And I renamed it to Grow With Me so that I could share more of what I'm actually doing in my garden day to day. And I think that is powerful because I do see larger creators doing things like that, but I have a 1 story a day framework right now, and I cannot move away from that. It's actually working. So I was like, how do I attract these people that are seeing that and come over to this channel? So, and I may end up pinning it to my profile. That actually might be a smart thing to do. But regardless, I renamed it, changed the background, and it gives me an option to be able to be way more intentional with growing with me. So they actually see that I am legit doing the thing in my own garden that I'm out there teaching. And so yesterday's story, because I need people to come follow that channel, yesterday's story was that. And I picked up some new people interested in following me. But I just realized as I sat down to start talking about this, I'm going to go update my auto hello from ManyChat to make sure that they know that I have this free channel on Instagram, which keeps them also in the Instagram platform. So I need to see how to add that where they can get that. Or I may just do it auto magically when the people that actually start talking to me, instead of bombarding them with a bunch of different messages, I may only give it to the people that actually communicate to me. So TBD on that, but I want to make sure that it doesn't always interrupt my 1 story a day, my 1 selling story, because those selling stories work. But I want to grow that channel so people can see that I'm also doing that thing. So anyways, new strategy there. And I want to talk about now. So this is 3 parts. The update to the 7,500 followers, the adding the new Instagram channel to be more intentional and create just more community, because again, that is one of my core values. And then metrics. We're going to talk about the Instagram metrics that I am tracking so that I understand what is truly working. Now, with all things data, you really need a solid tracking window, and that's the 30 days. So you're going to wait 30 days before you go back in and start tracking the data to see if that thing actually worked like you thought it would, or it did something else that you didn't think would happen. And so here is what I track at 30 days. The link to the piece of content. Right now it's all reels. So the link to the reel, how many views that reel got, how many comments, how many shares, how many saves, what the hook was, what the caption was, and how many follows. And the reason I am tracking all of this is that I want to know if I want more likes, then I go and do that type of content. If I want more comments, I want to do more of that type of content. If it's shares or saves or follows, then I want to do more of that type of content. Now, obviously, if you get a great mix of all of those things on one, then that's like the cherry on top. That is like your, I don't even know, like you're the best piece of performing content that you could create. Then you create more of that. For me right now, I've got 2 different types of content that is performing the way I want it to. And if my goal, which right now it is, one of my main goals, is to drive comments with my keywords so that it takes you to my checkout page, that's the type of content that I want to be creating more of, right? So at 30 days, I want to see comments from a piece of content because the followers are already coming. I don't have to figure out how to produce more of that type of content. Now, I'm still tracking that because in the future, after waiting 30 days on a piece of content that does well, I can use that piece of content in a new meta ad with the same framework of getting more people to my profile to want to follow me. Because what I have working right now through the meta ad is older pieces of content that did that. So new pieces of content, once they're 30 days old, I can now create a whole new ad set of those pieces of content that was proven organically without ad dollars behind it. So if I want, again, if I want to really continue to focus on driving traffic to my checkout page, I need to see which pieces of content did the keyword get triggered and then create more of that. Because the goal, the ultimate goal for me right now is 100 checkout page views a day. How do I get that? I have to have people triggering the comment. Now, because I have the automatic say hi to new followers, I am driving traffic that way, but I'm not focused on that's driving 20% to my checkout page. I am focusing on trying to get comments to my checkout page. Now, there's still a dance happening, right? Because you still have to create the other pieces of content because you don't really know the algorithm. You know what's performing well, but you also still have to be experimenting to figure out what else will perform well. So if you know what your lane becomes, then you can kind of dance within the lane to figure out what your audience will respond with. And for the most part, even though now I'm at 7,600 something now, but even though I have that amount of followers, my content, even outside of trial reels, my content is still being shown to non-followers. And so I have to figure out, that's why I'm like, okay, the people that are following me that are actually having a conversation about their gardens with me, I need them to follow that Instagram channel because then it's more of my existing followers engaging with my content. And then I can share my latest reels into that channel on top of behind the scenes of what I'm doing in my garden, real-time grow with me activities that drives my existing followers to my content, which I want to happen because I want them learning, right? I want them taking up all the things they can take up from me and taking it a step further. I'm paying attention to what the comments are besides the keyword, right? The comments that are landing on my reels, what questions are people asking me in those reels, but also what questions are they asking me in this automation where I say hi to everyone. That helps me create more content because I can see where people need help. So it is one gigantic bubble of activity. I think I spend, last night, because today's reel is super involved. It took a lot of time to create, not the video part. The video part's very easy, but the content part was tricky because I was like, I'm about to throw a hard punch with some education, and I want it in one place because the goal is saves, and the goal is to get people to want to build their own grocery stores in their backyard, and here's a quick cheat sheet to do that. So that one took quite a bit of time, but on average, I spend 1 to 2 hours total a day on my Instagram strategy, and then everything else I do in my day-to-day that's not garden related. So I feel like that's a decent amount of time to focus on all of these things that I'm doing, tracking the metrics, having the conversations, working on really good content. The other thing, I found a girl on Instagram, actually over on my other Instagram. I think her Instagram name is Personal Branding. She is a blonde, super young girl who is really killing it with what she's doing as far as helping people sort of grow on Instagram with hooks, using hooks. And she gives away a freebie that is 1,000 hooks that she has used across a lot of different niches. She's like a stat tracker too. And so I grabbed that, and, me and ChatGPT, we had a brainstorming session, and basically I fed those 1,000 hooks. Now, caveat, chat hallucinated a bunch, so I was only able to get 418 converted, but I used her hooks, and now I have 418 that I'm testing over on trial reels, and that is a huge lifesaver, time saver for me, because all I have to do, I put it into a spreadsheet, I go use a random number generator, and then I pull whatever that hook is, and me and chat have a brainstorm session. Here's my hook. Let's talk about a caption for it. I run it back through my caption generator to make sure I am on course with how I want to present the information once I get the caption written. And then that becomes my 2 trial reels for the day. So I spend more time on what's going to go onto my feed based on what I see performing well, which can sometimes take a little bit longer when I'm researching, educational components to making sure I have all of my I's dotted and my T's crossed. But then you'll use this spreadsheet that I already spent many hours creating, converting those hooks that performed well in other industries and convert them to my industry, my niche, my concepts based on my robot and what I have fed my robot so far. And that's a plug and play. Super easy. I want you to make your life easy, so use the tools that will do that. ManyChat's one of them for me. ChatGPT is one of them for me. And it just makes my content creation go faster because I've already created the template. I just have to go grab a random line number and then work on my caption and then feed it back through my caption like AI GPT, and then I can post it or publish it or whatever, save it as a draft. So that is your new strategy. I'm going to tell you to go do something of what I just talked about, implement that into your own Instagram strategy. And I promise Instagram, your Instagram game, your Instagram strategy, everything you put into Instagram, if that's your focus, you can do this over on TikTok, you can do this over on Facebook, you can do this elsewhere, but I am focused on Instagram. You can do these same things. These are all repeatable things that you can do to make your life easier so that you understand what content is performing well for your audience based on the thing you sell. So thank you again for listening. Go try ManyChat if you haven't already. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/ManyChat to get 2 weeks free, 14 days, the pro version. And it is, I think it's either $9.99 a month or $14.99 a month. It is relatively inexpensive to utilize until you hit a threshold of collection of emails, and then just export them out, delete those people out of ManyChat, and then you stay in that level forever. Unless you want to pay more money to ManyChat, you could totally do that if you want to. Like if you need a stronger or bigger tax write-off, yeah, but I don't want to spend more money, so I am going to do it that way, the way I just told you about. And so go try it out, bossgirlcreative.com/mini-chat, MANYCHAT, and make your life easier because it's made mine so much easier. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this week.
And flow. Let's talk. Let's go.
And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.